Okay, we are live apparently. So, um, we are excited to be here talking today about it's kind of a big week given that it was a holiday. But we've got fresh Emmy nominations from this morning, and then in a little while, whether this is appealing to you or not, we will be talking a little bit about the Taylor Swift wedding, just the spectacle of it all and the sort of pop culture imprint of it all. Um, so, with that, Karithna,
Yes.
I should say, I guess we should, I don't know if we introduce ourselves, but I am Jennifer, but I am the Ministry of Pop Culture proxy here running the show. Um, and you are Karithna. So, um, what for you stood out from the Emmy nominations this morning?
Some fresh blood, some new nominees, thank God, because it was getting stale. We all remember how The Bear dominated for so much. It turned people against the show.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that, like, for example, like Severance is not, in the running this year, which means it opens the drama category open to new people.
That's a good point.
Happy to see let's see. Oh my gosh, let me look at the nominations. Paradise is in there,
Mhm.
along with Sterling K. Brown. Love
Sterling,
that.
every time he gets on screen, and I support this, he gets a nomination. He's great.
He's great. Happy to see, Widow's Bay, which is the
Yes.
show I finally caught up on, happily so.
Oh,
Get
good.
a slew of nominations, and we were just talking about how there's a lot of celebrating going on today in the Carrie Russell, Matthew Rhys household, because
Yeah.
Matthew got 2 nominations, both for comedy for lead actor and, for Widow's Bay, and then for limited series for The Beast in Me. So yeah, what are your initial thoughts?
Yes. I was thrilled to see that too. I'm sure it's happened before because this is not that unusual. However, like just that people do lots of things. Especially I'd say in the last 10 years, people are on more shows. But it is pretty remarkable to see that it's like the difference in the roles for him and what
Sure.
range he's got, right? He's in comedy and he's in drama. And that sometimes can, that doesn't necessarily mean incredible range. But in this case, I feel like it's crazy. Like Widow's Bay, I feel like has become this darling, and including at the Ministry of Pop Culture, we'll have a piece about it that I'm writing for Friday. Everybody loves it. Talk about just freshness. Like I think the reason everyone's so excited is it's so different while also still not it's not like crazy, but it's drawing on a bunch of tropes, but putting them together in this new way of like being nominated in the comedy category, which I actually feel like we've been talking about this for years now, where it's like, who knows what this show is? Because it really is genuinely scary. Like, that's the thing. It's not, I thought at first going into it that it was going to be like making fun of the genre. It's not scary movie. It's not that. It's like doing the supernatural thriller
Yeah.
with some humor. And I think that it's just very exciting for everyone. And similarly, I noticed that um Widow's Bay and Hacks are both nominated for Best Comedy. Great to see. We both, I think, loved the last season of Hacks. And what's cool about that is that they're both created by women who wrote for Parks and Recreation, which I wrote a book about. There it is. Um, so Katie Dippold created Widow's Bay, and I was so, so excited to see the reception to this. She even talked to me about um, how much she loved like creepy stuff. Her and Aubrey, Aubrey Plaza, but like really bonded over that, which I just loved. And Hacks is co-created by Jen Statsky, who's amazing. And then even further in the comedy category, Margot's Got Money Troubles is nominated, which on its face I'm thrilled about. I adored this show, and I actually don't think it got enough love. So people should check it out. But also that has a Parks alum as well, with Nick Offerman giving one of his greatest. He's always great to me, but like I really loved this performance for him. It was really unique and he just embodied it. And every time he was on screen, I like wanted to cry. So that was really great to see as well. So it reminded me of the piece we did about the most successful TV casts.
Yeah.
And Parks was kind of an inspiration for us when we realized, like, are its alums, like, everywhere all the time? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It was quite far up and kinda holding its own against enormous prestige casts, like, Game of Thrones just has, like, weren't you the one who ended up tallying Game of Thrones and you almost lost your mind?
Oh, yeah, oh my god, there's just so many cast members, and it's surprising to see how many with all that big sprawling cast, none of them are as active as working as the cast from Parks and Recreation. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
as
exactly, exactly, and I think that's reflected too in people like the right if I'm sure if we did the same thing for writers, we'd find a
exactly,
similar situation, like, they're just low key successful. They're just kinda, like, there, and we love them, and it speaks to the goodwill that they engendered on that show while somehow not getting, like, too bogged down by those roles.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just I mean, like, Nick is just unbelievably, versatile as well, so that's part of it is he can do comedy and drama as well. But, it's really just lovely to see because they're very nice people, and I like to see good people succeeding. So, I also that reminds me that, I just loved seeing that Jeff Hiller was, presenting the nominations. He's our fellow Substacker here, so you should check him out here, but we love him, and we love to see I like to see that he's underused still, by the way, just as a side note, like, he's on Widow's Bay, and Pluribus, 2 of our favorite shows this year, and both times I love seeing him, but let's get more.
You know, it's interesting. We give a shout out to one of our fellow Substackers, whatever, never mind. They did an interview with Jeff Hiller, and he
Yeah.
mentions that he should see his role amped up in season 2. He just decided that he know I think he knows Katie Dippold and asked to be
Okay.
in the show, and she's like, "It's a small role." He's like, "I don't care, I'll take it."
Okay.
And then, of course, he had that scene-stealing role in the season finale episode, so I feel like we'll have to, like, see more of him next.
Okay, that is great to hear. I'm really happy about that. Because yeah, he just I don't think his Emmy win, I don't think it's, like, caught up to his career
Right.
that we are seeing just yet. So I have hope that just, like, there's stuff going on for him because he is quirky, but, he's such a delight, and I both times in those shows, I got, like, really excited that he was there, and then I was like, "He this is barely a role," like but he did have that one scene in the finale of Widow's Bay. So,
Yeah.
the other thing is that, unfortunately, Heated Rivalry is not eligible. So that's kind of a bummer for the Emmys, I think. I think that would have been really nice to sort of have that in the mix. Just, I don't know if there's a bigger story this year, in television, It
Sure.
came out last year, but it was really a January kind of story, I think, and it would have been really nice to see those guys at this. I'm sure the Emmys feel the same way, so
Sure.
I
So
know
they're
that, I work for the Peabody Awards, and we on the side of, like, the awards organization were very happy when the jurors picked that to win because it can win a Peabody, um, because we don't have rules about, like, where it comes from that the Emmys do, and it's Canadian.
By the way, I was looking at more of the nominations as they roll out, and Nick got a nomination for supporting actor, which is
Good. I'm
hap
so glad. That's great. He should. It's really I that's the one I would, like, strenuously recommend to people because I just don't feel like I've heard enough people like, everybody's talking about Widow's Bay, and you should totally watch it because it's so fun and such a diversion while being so unique. But Margot's Got Many Troubles is really wonderful and touching and weird and all kinds of things.
it's just interesting to see, just going guessing and doing a quick cursory glance at the nominations as they come out, who the darlings are this season. So it feels like Widow's Bay, the actress who plays Patricia, got a nomination, as
That's
well as the
great.
older actress whose name I forget, but the very sarcastic,
Yes.
so that's pretty cool. I love seeing Riz Ahmed get a nomination for Bait. and Chase, Infinity for the Testaments. Not that I'm watching the show, but I just loved her as an actress, so it's happy to see here. And speaking of heated rivalry, Connor Story got a nomination for Guest Supporting Actor
Yeah,
for Saturday Night Live. So
that's great.
that is pretty cool.
That is really those all make me real I was telling you this before we got on. I was like, we decided to do this, and then I almost got worried, like, what if they're just really boring? You know, what if they just decide to go back to nominating Frasier for everything? Like, they're just they are like you said, they've been I mean, it's like, I love Succession so much,
Yeah.
but you're right that, like, Severance and then Succession being over, like, that just opens up so much more, and it's like, I love Abbott Elementary, but okay, got it. Like, we're set. We know about Abbott Elementary. Like, it's nominated again, that's fine. Like,
And probably just, I mean, deservedly so.
yeah,
Shows, because they keep getting nominations doesn't mean they're not qualified, but
right.
we just like to see these things open up to more people. And we're seeing that. And I kind of like the diversity of the nominations. I saw that, um, oh, I forgot his name, but Wonder Man, the star of Wonder Man, got for lead actor in a comedy series. I've only seen 2 episodes of it, but it's great and it's kind of fun and surprising to see him get a nod because I don't feel like that's a huge show. He was also in Watchmen. I'm so sorry, I forgot your name. Uh, and then also, so if you're on the reality TV front,
Yes,
Summer House got a nomination
that's
for Best
crazy.
Unscripted Show, and I've been watching that show religiously for a while now. So interesting to see how the real life drama, got them a nomination. And I'm trying to remember if Vanderpump Rules did, where they had its scandal.
Right.
Summer House had its own big scandal this season, and I feel like this is gonna be a cue to reality TV to maybe they'll try to create some fourth wall breaking to get on the radar of people who don't watch the shows as a way to get attention. I mean, it works for Vanderpump Rules. It's working
Yeah.
for my house. So, anyway, any other thoughts before we go to Taylor?
Um, Happy to see Lisa Kudrow.
Mm, mhm.
I thought that season I don't wanna say pleasantly surprised, that's not the right way to say it exactly, but I guess I just get nervous, like, I love the comeback so much, and then bringing it back again, I was like, "Is this a good
Wow.
idea?" Um, and I thought it was terrific. I thought she was particularly she always is. Like, to me, I absolutely adore Lisa Kudrow. I just think she can do no wrong. She's the best friend. Sorry, it's just true. I will do anything Jennifer Aniston does with her hair or exercise routine, but, Lisa Kudrow is just oh god. And this was great. It was perfect. I thought it was the perfect use of her and the show again. So, that was really nice to just see, I'm not surprised. I and I would just say I was a little surprised to see Love Story in the mix, but maybe it wasn't as strong a, limited series year. I was kinda thinking in general that maybe it wasn't as strong
Mm,
a limited series. We were really into limited series for a while, and it got to be super competitive,
yeah,
and then all the streamers realized it was a terrible business proposition. It is. It's
yeah,
terrible, and the only reason, like, things like Love Story work is because it's under this banner of Love Story,
yeah,
of Love Story. They've kind of branded it that way, and Ryan Murphy is very powerful. So that probably is and it was a huge, like, what do you wanna say, like, buzz hit. Like, it was getting everyone was talking about it. I'm
yeah.
not sure it was, like, the greatest, but that's fine. It's good for that. I don't like to tout too many where I'm like, because, like, good for you. You made something. That's fine. I'm glad that, like, I don't wanna begrudge anyone a nomination, to be honest, unless it's really egregious. So, I was just kind of surprised to see that among the others.
I feel like they had such a big cultural moment, it had to get some sort of Emmy attention. I
Yeah.
think I saw the actress who played Carolyn Bessette got nominated.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything else. Yeah, I'm sure other people from the show, but yeah, I feel like it's one of those shows that permeated pop culture and people decided they wanted to dress like her, and anyway, I feel like it's so interesting to see how much pop culture when shows become part of the larger pop culture conversation, as Love Story did, it's interesting to see whether or not it gets reflected in these kinds of like nominations.
Yeah, and I honestly would hope that like, the costumers and
Mm,
the
mhm.
set design people and all, like, the people who evoked the '90s, because that was what everybody went crazy for,
You're
I think.
so right. You're completely right. I feel like shows that always do historical shows, like, I love The Gilded Age, but shows and movies that deal in historical settings always get love when it comes to set design and
Yeah,
costume design. But I think contemporary is so much more interesting, but I think that what you said about Love Story is a perfect example
yeah.
of that. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they really did that, like that, like I said, I really, in the end, I feel like that's why people watched it, was for that feeling.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, so good for them. I'm happy for anyone who's having a good day because they got nominated for an Emmy today. So, um, all right. So I guess we should talk about Taylor's wedding now. I mean,
No one
it's
else is talking about it, right? It's up to us.
someone has to do it, right? I I mean, we wanted to talk about this just because 'cause we've been sort of texting back and forth about it, and I'm just still a little baffled by, like, what happened. I felt like I was in, like, a dream sequence when I kept seeing, to me, the biggest thing was just, like, the way the timeline on my Instagram, because I follow a lot of celebrities, was, like, just an endless stream of almost the same photo, which was, as I said to you, like a prom photo. It was like the photo you take at home before you go to prom, and your parents take it, and you're dressed up, and it's the 2 of you, and you're like, "We're going to this thing." And it was just like the weirdest steady stream of these, almost as if they were instructed to do this. On the other hand, I guess if I was going, I certainly would post that photo, because you couldn't, they couldn't take phones in.
Right.
So that's probably why that happened. But I guess there was no, like, rule against telling people you were going. Yeah, I was like, and it was such a bizarre, as it came through. It was like where you'd be like, why does she know Adam Scott? Like, why did Adam Scott, I mean, I would love for him to come to my wedding too, but, like, why Adam Scott and Paul Rudd? I was, like, kept trying to, like, work out the 6 degrees kind of on everybody, and then it was like, I kinda gave up and went like, "Did she just invite, like, is there, I don't know, a Slack or something that's like Hollywood Slack?" And she was like, "Who wants to come?" I don't know, I can't figure it out.
It's interesting. I wish I found it, but there was a Twitter thread. I'm sorry, not Twitter, a Threads thread
A
where a
thread.
person was actually was making the connections. Like, this is why this random person was invited and this random. I'm like, okay, so she's actually known them a long time, or maybe Travis has known them for a long time because I saw that Brad Pitt was invited, which I side eye a lot. And if you follow the news about him, and you're like, why was he nominated? Why
I
was he
I
invited?
I like
Uh,
how you just almost said nominated.
yeah,
It kinda feels that way.
kind because he was on Travis Kelce's podcast,
Okay.
so sometimes there's really close, like, dear friends connection, and sometimes, "I just met you and you were on my podcast, why don't you come?" Which
Right.
I think is the kind of point. This was the ultimate networking event, and this is like a win-win for everyone involved, you know, Taylor and Travis. I keep forgetting it's not just Taylor's wedding, right? Like,
Right.
there is a groom here, but they get to, like, show off their pop culture celebrity bona fides, like, "Look who turned out for our wedding." And the people who gets invited and get to show that they were there get to be like, "Look, I'm in the top echelon A-list of celebrity."
I'm in
So
the top 1,000.
yes, I'm top of that. And it makes me think about, if 1,000 people attended, how many people were invited? Was it like 1,200 people? Knowing that, like, maybe 200 people wouldn't show up? Like, you and I were talking about Beyoncé had to get an invite and politely
True.
de right. I'm sure there are other people, major stars or just, smaller stars. You mentioned there was somebody random from which TV show?
Man on the Inside, I just looked up her name because I don't wanna be,
Okay.
like, not even naming her. But, yeah, I was just like, that was, like, my breaking point where I was, like, scrolling, and, like, I like Man on the Inside, believe me, and she's a great actress. Her name is Mary Elizabeth Ellis, and if you saw her, you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen her in stuff." She's one of those people. She's a character actress, and she plays Ted Danson's daughter on Man on the Inside. And that's probably why, like, she was on my timeline, because I have a general passing interest in Man on the Inside. But I was like, "Okay, why did Ted Danson's daughter from Man on the Inside go?" It's possible that she is a great childhood friend of either the bride or the groom. I don't know, it's none of my business, but it just was a little like I started at, like, okay, Adam Scott and Paul Rudd, that's, like, random in a sense, but okay, sure. I think Adam has I actually saw him talk about how he loves Taylor Swift. So this could be even just like, "Thanks for one time saying a nice thing in public about me. You're invited."
Right.
Wouldn't even be surprised if she had a running list of, like, people who have said nice things about her, right? Can't
Or she
you see that?
yeah, that was like, "Hey, why not just invite them and then I can meet them?" Maybe, like, she loves Severance and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I mean, it could totally be true. You're right. And
Mhm.
who wouldn't wanna meet Paul Rudd? And a great way to do that if you're her is to like you said, like, it could be also like, "Hey, I've never met Paul Rudd. He seems nice. Come on down, he'll probably come." You know? I it's she was like, "I love Man on the Inside," maybe. I don't
Maybe maybe Ted Danson couldn't come, but his, TV daughter could.
well, that's why I'm like, "Wait, was Ted" well, the thing is that we don't even know for sure. Like, we don't know for absolute certain that Beyoncé didn't go. We just know she didn't post a prom pic,
That's a good point.
right? So we only know the people who posted the prom pics. I bet Danson would if he
Totally.
went. So
Yeah.
there's that. Yeah, and it was just so like, I mean, there were definitely like musicians and some that, Dashboard Confessional went, which like she loves. She's like a loves emo. So even if she's never met him, which she probably has, that kind of made sense to me. I she did the lead singer of Train went, which I was like,
Oh,
okay, sure. And he God bless him. When he posted his prom pic, he, played like, the music on it is that she had covered at least part of Drops of Jupiter at some concert at some point. So he found that, and he put that on his prom pic, and I was like, I mean, congratulations to you, sir. I don't know if you know this, but I do, which is that I do follow the lead singer of Train on Instagram, and He's he's on this, like, quest of some kind that I don't have a complete I guess he's just really trying to remind people he had this one huge hit song, but he's been, like, posting over and over again, like, he's on this quest to, like, play that song everywhere. I think there's, like, an anniversary of it, like, live,
huh.
obviously, like, play as in, like, perform it. But he's running around performing it all kinds of places, both, like, music venue type things, and also just like, "Hey, I'm at the waterfront in New York City, and I'm gonna sing this song right now." So I play it on guitar because it is a huge crowd pleaser because it's so cheesy. So good for him, but that is just this little weird side note that I got because I follow Pat Monahan of Train. It's so weird though. Like it, it's just a little it's unlike anything quite we've seen before.
Not on this scale, but I was doing some reading, just kinda get some sense of, like, what this wedding is in the context of larger culture, and I was reminded that, we had something similar happen. Can't remember, was it earlier this year or late last year, but the Jeff Bezos wedding where he invited a bunch of random big name celebrities, and you're like, "Why is Oprah here?" But
Mhm.
or, like, whoever else, he had, like, the Kardashians, he had a lot
That's
of
right.
big names and not completely aware of how well he knows them, but it does seem to be a way of kind of, again, showing off, like, "These are the people who come to my wedding. I'm gonna take a fabulous setting, maybe disrupt the locals along the way, and, I and then just, like, make it, so that people cannot ignore the fact that, A, I got married, and
Yeah.
B, look who showed up." And I think what's interesting about Taylor's wedding is that part of the reason I think is when we first heard the MSG rumors, Madison Square Garden, everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Crazy, that's just why would you want to be somewhere so not romantic?" Let's say, it's a plot
I
in the
guess
middle of
that's part of I think you're
pack.
right, but that's a real I don't an unacknowledged part of the sort of doubt. We all kept saying, like, "This is a decoy. She's gonna get married in Rhode Island, but she's gonna tell people it's MSG, and that's
Right.
gonna be this big decoy." And it just was like, "What are you talking about that you're" but then again, she's spent, like, the last several years in arenas, and it is a sports venue, and Travis. And so maybe, I mean, one of my text chains said someone said something like, "But can't you just kind of see Travis being like, baby, what if we get married at MSG? Look how big it is." And at first she'd be like, and then she's like, "Wait, or is that genius?" Like you can totally see that.
It's the genius thing, and so I said Times Square, I meant Penn
Oh,
Station, right in the middle of Midtown, but what I read about why that facility would actually make sense for someone like Taylor, especially if she's inviting 1,000 famous people and family and friends, of course, is that the security is, like, on point, like, you
yeah,
cannot get in or out. It's
right.
completely private, and they could do
Yep.
whatever they want within the confines. It's not like
Right.
they got married on a basketball court, right?
Right.
I read some, like, I don't know, some castles were built,
Castle, garden,
gardens,
something,
something
something.
like that.
Yeah.
So,
It
it's a way of her building her personal fairy tale and then ensuring that there's no, like, long lens cameras that can shoot through windows, right?
right.
So,
Right.
if you think of it that way, it's kind of smart. It just still became such a spectacle for so many reasons that we're still trying to process, and, of course, we're still waiting to see, like, the wedding photos, like,
Where's the
the dress,
dress?
right?
I need the dress. Like, I do need that, and I'm not even a person who says that normally, but, like, come on. Tree Payne, cough up the dress photos. We need all the details, but, they also this is like, she's a mastermind, to quote herself. And, like, I kind of as the prom pics were coming out, continuously over the weekend, I started to go like, "Oh, no, this is all brilliant." If you're the kind of person who and let's face it, I think she is at this point, like, I just think that this is part of her personality, and she has the power to do it, that, like, she's so good at kind of dominating a news cycle, at least a
Yeah.
news cycle, right? And it's like, "Oh, look, I probably shouldn't put out another album because people need a rest." And my Eras tour is over, and that was constantly making news. And now it's like, the joke that I saw going around was, the Onion type headline of like, Taylor Swift adds wedding dates to her, her tour, adds 3 more dates. Like, she's been performing in front of thousands of people for the past couple of years, and she's probably craving it again. And then with these kind of the other thing about it, I'm calling them prom pics, and maybe I don't know if she thought this all through. I wouldn't put it past her, but, like, there was something sweet about it too. Like, to just see Brandy Carlisle and her wife, like, excited to go to a wedding, or any number of other people who are very, again, like the one I keep going back to Paul Rudd and, um Adam Scott, but that's partly because they had an even better prom pic, which was they were together with their
Right.
wives. So that's, like, such a prom moment of you have multiple couples together, and it just made everyone seem kind of regular, and it was sweet, and I thought, like, "Oh, that's kind of on brand with what she's been doing lately," right, with Travis. Um, I don't wanna say, like, I'm not I mean, I think for her and for both of them, brand and personal life just intermingle. I'm not saying it's, like, publicity stunt or whatever. It's just, like, they're going where their love took them to some extent, but then it becomes how this is gonna look to everyone. And, like, Donna Kelsey's really, really, really Midwestern and regular. That's why people love her. Even Taylor's family, if you watched, like, the behind the scenes Eras tour thing, which I watched twice, um, I'm sorry, I would watch it again too, I love it so much. But you see a lot of her family, and that's when you go like, "Oh, this is why she didn't like Britney out to some extent," is, like, her family is so, like, secure and, like, has her back and is the corporation behind her, but also seems kind of regular when you see them just, like, hanging out and drinking seltzer behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah.
And then she has these songs, on the last album about how she wants a basketball hoop, and she wants to have babies so the whole block looks like him, and, she's touting this very suburban, regular kind
All
of
American.
vibe, all American, very yeah, very much so, And, like, in a way, I know 1,000 people at MSG is not, um, grounded per se, not relatable. It somehow also is. I don't know how to it's like there's some I've been to MSG, maybe that's part of it, right? You just most of us have been there. So we kind of, like, can picture it, we know it. And, yeah, I don't know, maybe and then they put a sign up, like, they weren't trying to be secretive either, even though there were NDAs from what I hear. Like, clearly the and we haven't seen it, a couple pics got out and then got deleted. Really fuzzy, far away wedding pics that people took and didn't realize they were not supposed to. But, like, I don't know. In some ways, it felt very like, oh, your favorite English teacher and your gym teacher got married. It really did have that, right? And that was her branding on their um
Right, on the engagement photo.
engagement. So, like, I feel like that's what we're going for right now is this super relatable suburban all-American thing.
Well, it's weird because they're kinda trying to have it both ways, right? They're trying to have suburban, aren't we Midwestern and quaint, all-American, and the spectacle of celebrity,
Yes,
which to me goes to show that they are, like, probably a really good couple for each other for a lot of reasons. It makes
yes,
me think of the article you wrote for us about Taylor Swift's, philosophy about love and
yeah,
how she likes to have somebody who's her equal, but also a little bit in awe of her and celebrates her. I feel like in terms of what we know of her past relationships, she felt like she had to keep her tailorness,
mm,
tamped down so she didn't make her partner uncomfortable. I think
yes,
Joe Alwyn is an example of a person where she kind of was, like, more constrained about herself and more private,
yep,
and Travis seems like it lets her, tap into her, like, a spectacle side and, like, I'm not gonna apologize for being me side, which again, to me, shows me that, like, if he's on board with 1,000 people as equally as her, then, like, listen, they found the right people for what
yeah. I mean, I felt to us, from what we can see. Of course, I never it's like we don't know these people, but the
no.
stuff we can see really bears that out, right? Like when she was on his podcast, prime example of just like everything you just said. Both the fact that like we're being super open about the fact that we have a relationship, that we're in love with each other. And there was also this, I mean, almost where she started being like, okay, take it down a notch, where he was like, I love when she uses big words. And like, and she was like, you know what that word means. Like, it was actually it was all very sweet. And if this is at all fake, like, then they're incredible actors and they should win awards because but that's another example of what I'm talking about, which is like it's weird. It's like they're having the spectacle. The spectacle is that they're performing this enormous version of relatability and suburban normality. That's my rough interpretation, right? Because like even going on his podcast,
Yeah.
and she, like, was dressed she was dressed down. She always looks she's never really, right? She's always, like it's so I loved her, like, game day outfits, where she's, like, perfect ponytail, the right shade of red on the lips, but, like, she was dressed in a normal-ish fashion. They hung out for a long time, talked normal. You could tell they knew and liked each other, like, podcasts are kind of a regular thing. She said it was her first podcast ever.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Which
Didn't
kinda makes sense, like, why would she be on podcasts?
right.
Really? I mean, it's different. It's also changing now is what I would say. Like, the podcast, that's an indicator of the podcast market as much as anything. Not that we're here to talk about that, but, like, now we have Popcast. I got really into it recently. I've been listening to all of Popcast and, like, Olivia Rodrigo's on there, like, Gracie Abrams is on there. So, like, she would have been on Popcast, you know, 10, 15 years ago if it existed, but, like, podcasts themselves have gotten bigger. So that's I think it just wouldn't make sense. They're not gonna put her on that now. So, they might. She every once in a while, right, she, like, deigns to, like she did the New York Times, they put this on the I can't keep saying podcast and Popcast feed. They put her, best selling
Mm.
songwriters interview, which was great. She loves talking about that stuff. But I don't think most of the time, I don't think she wants to chance. She's not going to go on Hot Ones, like, first of all, she's like, I'm not going to just eat that because you want me to. And also, like, she doesn't need to be subjected to like a random smattering of questions that she's not controlling. Like, she likes to talk about her art, and she's going to go on her fiance's podcast. But
Right. Thinking about because you just mentioned, like, the wedding photos, where are they? And the rollout, now that the wedding's over, presumably they're honeymooning somewhere, but eventually there has to be a rollout of some kind, whatever it is. And I'm wondering if she's gonna be a disruptor in this way, the way she's been a disruptor in terms of other ways. Like, for example, the Eras Tour and how she did the release of the concert, she went straight to the movie theaters, right? She
Mhm.
did distributor, she just did that directly with them and released it directly to them. And I wonder about so there's various ways you can release wedding photos these days, right? You could do it on your own social media. You could do it through an esteemed publication like Vogue or Vanity Fair. But I feel like Taylor being Taylor, like, she might just do, like, a maybe she filmed the whole thing and she'll release it on Disney Plus, you
I
know?
swear to God, I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, oh, because I believe the photo leak, by the way, was like the executive, whatever, the CEO of AMC Theaters.
Oh.
Which, I mean, for once, we understand how she knows this person. Tom Cruise was also there. Don't know how she knows Tom Cruise. But, we understand at least how these 2 people are connected, and I'm not saying, like, a deal was imminent because of that, but I thought of it when I heard that because I was like, "Oh, like, she would." They both would. That is the thing, is, like, I do think he has a hustler side too, right? And
Yeah,
before this, like, he thought he was famous before this, but he wasn't. I had never heard of him, and most people who don't watch sports had not. And so he went from, like, having like, he wasn't he on like a reality show at one point? He was
possible.
on something that was, like, football players and maybe also something about how he was, like, looking for a date. I don't know. He was mixing it up out there. He did not mind being on camera. Obviously, the boys doing their podcast, which maybe was kinda making news even, but I can't remember. I mean, she heard that he wanted to meet her because of the podcast.
Right. That's a good point. That's their origin story. Yeah.
But that was mom apparently heard. I don't
Uh,
know if I'm guessing somebody sent it to her and then she listened, but that you learn that in the behind the scenes documentary series that I was talking about. She talks about how she heard this story. She heard that there's this guy who wanted to meet Taylor and didn't. And she was like, looked him up and she was like, oh, he's cute. So she was the one who said, like, "I think you should meet this guy," and also allegedly, allegedly, according to her on the documentary, she said something like, "You need to try something different because the other thing isn't working. What you've been doing is not working, so listen to mom. Go out with this nice young man. He looks cute. He's into football." So that was supposedly the origin story, and so I think he's part of this mixing of what I wanna say is high and low. Right? With
yeah,
her,
yeah,
I do think, like, her and Alwyn, I can see releasing the photos via Vogue,
right.
right? That was their vibe.
Yeah,
Um, Whereas this is like this other, thing, and I either it's gonna either or, it could be both too. It could be like, I mean, they're gonna have to give us photos soon, right?
at least at least
Right.
one.
Yeah, like, we need the dress. It's probably gonna be social media. It's gonna be just like the engagement, like, the perfectly staged, like, how many times you can picture the engagement photo in your head now because they just did that perfectly, right? It's like them in the big arch of flowers. So, they probably have, like, the one shot that they're both gonna put out at the same time, and she's gonna say, your gym teacher and your blah, 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 all of that. Everybody picked that up too. That was such great messaging. She's so good.
Yeah. That's actually a good example of branding and identity branding.
It's just
Uh,
like one image repeated over and over,
yeah,
and it's this simple but, like, very specifically thought out.
Yeah.
message. She didn't just say, like, "We're engaged." She had a branding idea and, like, "This is what we're gonna be doing now." So, them getting married in a gym, like, makes some kinda sense, you know?
Oh, foreshadowing. Yeah. Um, it'll be interesting, right? So if you have a wedding and you invite 1,000 people and a lot of them are famous, and then but have it in a very private, secure place where there haven't been any photo leaks and there've been details, but nobody has
Yeah,
visual, right?
right.
As your fan base and the population at large who cares a lot or a little, would they you think people would be mad if she just did the one photo? Like, just did the wedding dress
Good
photo? Or do
question.
you think people would get, like, I'm over it if she did, like, a 20 photo spread? Like, I feel like she can't win
Yeah,
because of the way the wedding was held.
right.
But what do you think? And how would the response be?
I agree. I mean, it could also just be I'm just thinking Instagram here. It could also just be like a carousel, like, where we get like, there's gonna be a chosen main image, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did this. I can't remember for sure, but I feel like they both posted that one photo from their engagement, right? So they'll both do it. I know that one will have more impact than the other. But, and then the Kelsey brothers podcast will repost it with some cute thing, and, everybody will be excited. So it could be that, and then you do a couple, do you do a carousel of, like, "Here's some other stuff.
right.
We're done." Because you're right, I can see the fans wanting a little more than one dress. It'll be her and him. It'll be like a shot of the dress with him. But you're right, it's also I mean, it's already oversaturated.
Yeah,
But though part of the brilliance or whatever of this is like, okay, so we got all the prom pics from all the celebrities on our feeds, but then we got no details from the wedding. And so it's this weird tense, like it kind of keeps it in the conversation as long as people can speculate about it. People will start to get tired and it'll just start to wane. And that's probably the brilliant, perfect moment that you
they
like
drop it.
launch
Yeah,
one or more photos. And I still kind of stand by your prediction a little bit that this is going to be on, or maybe it won't be the whole thing. I would bet it won't be like the whole wedding, but it would be like kind of the way she did the behind the scenes eras tour thing,
yeah.
right? I could see a like documentary ish treatment of this that once again frames them as like these regular people. Oh, look, it's the in-laws are talking to each other, and, like telling oh, this is the first time I met Taylor. We're all so relatable, that kind of thing.
It actually reminds me, I remember, many years ago, Beyoncé did a documentary called Life I think it's called Life Is But a Dream,
Yes, that's correct.
and within that documentary, she just casually posted photos from her and Jay-Z's wedding, which seemed
Yes,
very small, intimate affair.
right.
And I could see whatever Taylor's next documentary release is, that's what she will do. She'll just kinda throw in some scenes
Hmm.
her wedding, and that'll probably be the official only footage. There'll be photos,
Right.
but in the actual footage, we'll probably just see it inserted in her next documentary, whatever.
I can totally see, like, you just gave me almost a visual of, like, when you see, like, the wedding, like, them
Yeah,
walking up and, like, the whole and, like, a smidgen of the perfect smidgen of the vows, right? Like, not the whole
yeah,
thing. But apparently she did tell some cute story about, like, how nice he was in high school. Again, I just keep going, like, she is doing so much, like, there is branding. She had a song about him called "So High School." Like, and then she talked in her vows from what I read, she told a story about, like, how he was this football player, but he was so nice to everyone. I mean, this is only hearsay on her part, she wasn't there. But, like, that she was saying, like, "This is why I love him is that he's this, big, strong football player, but he cares about other people." But again, I just feel like we keep going back. This is I think when I said, like, they got married in a gym, I finally realized that's why there's an air of relatability even though it's an enormous gym. Um, an enormous, like, maybe the most famous gym. But right? Like, that's part of all of this is, like, yeah, your gym teacher and your English teacher, like, took over the gym and made a garden castle, like a prom. Do you see? It's prom.
Also, you're reminding me by even using that language, gym teacher, English teacher, it's a reminder we're bringing together 2 different worlds
That's right.
and, like, making them, like, this is, like, our extended network now. Like, just to bring it back to the whole celeb ecosystem, right?
Yep,
Like, expand the outside of musicians and actors, and she brought in a whole new, world where she, just by, dating a football player, she elevated the NFL to new ratings, new heights, new visibility, to a viewership that wasn't paying attention beforehand.
yep,
That football wasn't popular before, of course it was, but you had a lot more people tuning in, specifically a lot more women tuning
yep.
in because of Taylor. So the fact that the English teacher and the gym teacher brought together all these people, like, yeah, she
It's
likes thinking like this too. Like, I think this is her sweet spot. She loves thinking this way,
yes.
and like just seeing how if people like connect the dots in terms of what she's trying to build and the image she's trying to project.
Right, and, I used to think this was crazy, and if you watch some Swiftie videos, you will especially if you're not in that world, you'll be like, "What are they talking about?" With the conspiracy theories and whatnot. They actually call it clowning. They'll admit it sometimes even and be like, "I'm just clowning, but what if?" And the thing is, she has admitted as much. Like, she's said that she did this. I used to not believe it, and then she was like, "No, no, no, since my first album, I've been putting these Easter eggs into everything," as if, like, she just assumed. I just think that's so ballsy because 'cause you're, like, already assuming people care enough. Like, before your first album comes out, you're like, "No, people are gonna really like that I put in, like, secret clues in my lyric sheet or whatever." And it's like, maybe no one will care. I just think it's very, like, ballsy of her to just assume from the beginning, and she's been doing this ever since with we all know why do I know that her favorite number is 13? Because she has gotten me to know that. Like, these are the kinds of things that like, go on, and, Mariska Hargitay was at her wedding because her cat is named Olivia Benson. And I know that. Why do I know? Like it's crazy that we know all this stuff, but that's because she told us. And it's also because she has told us she's a world builder. That is why people go crazy about her. And she is not done with this rollout yet. Like this started with the end of Tortured Poets, right? It's a
Yeah.
super B album until you get to toward the end, you get So High School. Now I'm gonna start really going Swifty here, but like you get So High School and The Prophecy, right? So The Prophecy is about how she's cursed and she's never gonna find anyone. And so High School is clearly about him and how she makes him feel so high school. Okay. So then you get to the next album and they've gotten engaged and she's talking about, you make me want a basketball hoop and you make me want to make the, whole block look like you, which I presume means they will propagate enormously. Um, all of that stuff, you know, and so she's like, it's there. It's already, it's like she's doing she started with So High School and like bringing it through, including the gym teacher and the English teacher thing. They got married in a gym with a basketball hoop. I would love to tell you I think this is all coincidence, but with this woman, I do not. She's like this. She has a song where she calls herself a mastermind, and that's what's happening.
By the way, as we're talking about Taylor and this wedding, I was thinking about another celebrity who's one of the most famous celebrities also right now, and how she did something completely opposite this year in a very smart way, which is Zendaya and Tom. So
Mm,
they got married this year, or at least at some point, right?
at some point.
Nobody has seen anything. Nobody even knew until La Roche mentioned it on a red carpet. And, they just kinda and then she did, like, sly, like, references to it when she was promoting her movie, The Drama,
Mhm.
um, wearing her engagement ring, wearing white dresses, and then they finally sort of announced it, I think, in a Tom Holland interview.
I believe so.
But it's just another way of way celebrity can work, right? They are Zendaya is one of the most famous people on the planet in Hollywood and on
Yeah,
the planet. She's in some major projects. The Odyssey is coming out very
Yep.
soon. The Spider-Man movies. She also just received an Emmy nod again, for Euphoria. But at the same time, she has always just let her fashion be the branding for her. Like, the fact
Right.
that she's an impeccably dressed, smart, and thoughtful, and just incredible in terms of her fashion and how much thought she puts into it. And she's a great actress. And in terms of their personal life, you really know nothing. They all take photos together because they're in projects together, but she still has have found a way to maintain and elevate her celebrity and without any of the Taylor stuff. And I
Right.
just think it's an interesting contrast in terms of how celebrity can work in this world right now. You have the one level of Taylor giving every single thing a thought through, making all of Hollywood a part of her wedding story,
Yep.
you know? And then you have Zendaya who's just like, "Nope, that's not you're not getting any of it from me.
Yeah.
I'll kind of let you know as much as I want you to know. You'll never see a photo of me in my wedding dress." And people accept that from her because she made very clear her boundaries in terms of privacy from the get-go. So it just kinda shows there's 2 ways to operate in the celebrity ecosystem. I think what would happen, it becomes a slippery slope if you break out of your own branding, right? So if Taylor decides, "I'm not releasing a wedding dress photo or any photos," there'll be so much out backlash at
Yep.
outcry. 'Cause you're like, "You've been public about your love life in your music and the way you operate your entire, as long as you've been famous." So if she ever did, for whatever reason, decide not to, it'd be a huge deal.
No,
Uh
I totally agree with that, and, like, she's that ship may have sailed a long time ago. I know she's struggled with it, and then seems to kind of have made her peace with it, particularly with Travis, maybe because he's fine with it, and that
right,
before it was wrecking her relationships, like because
right.
the men were not okay with it. But, like, she's been writing, we know that they're personal songs about her love life. Like, we've been doing this since the beginning. So I think it would be pretty hard to, like, I feel like she was kinda trying to pull back in the folklore era, right? She was, like, writing songs about actual other, made up characters or other people. She was not clearly writing songs about herself only. And
Mhm,
she was telling everybody these are, imaginary characters, blah, blah, blah. This was when she was still with Joe Alwyn. So there were definitely some songs on those where you could decode that they were about her. But she was kind of trying to like do this other thing. And then this seems to have snapped her right back to super public. And I hope it works out okay. That's all I could say because it's now reminding me a little bit of JLo and Ben. And like that struggle is so real and interesting to me. Like they broke up the first time because of the like immense children who were not there will never understand like the level of attention that they had. And part of it was because they allowed it to some
yeah.
extent, right? Like they would be out in public. Like he was grabbing her ass on a boat where they knew people were and like they kind of liked it, I think, which is okay. Like that's also okay. But it's a beast that you can never control, and we've seen this
Mhm.
happen over and over again. And then they broke up and they married other people and they got back together and God bless them, they tried again, and it does kinda seem from what we can tell that then she made, like, the I wish we had had a live then that I
Oh
could
my
unpack all of it. We will not get into it now. But did you watch the crazy
oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
She made a crazy, like, a nice crazy, like, over the top is what I would say. It's like this very
That's it.
right? Over the top, like, celeb filled, like, here's Jane Fonda and, JLo's visual album or whatever she called it. Great dancing in it, but it was about like, it was a concept album about how, like, she was back together with Ben Affleck. And she had famous people playing, like, the muses or whatever, I don't know what they've gods of some kind. And then she did a behind the scenes of that movie where she, like, read letters that they had exchanged, and, like, Ben seemed really uncomfortable, and anyway, they imploded again under the glare of the spotlight. I think they really both, especially maybe her, kind of were fine with it and liked it. liked sharing their love. She loves being in love. God bless her. Um, and Taylor is kind of the same way in some ways, but she also is much I'm not saying JLo's stupid, but, like, I don't think JLo has the like, planning range that Taylor has, who's been, like, masterminding her entire life the whole time. Like, I just she came up in a different era when right?
An excellent point, yeah.
Right? It's she's the first to me, kind of master of a lot of things that have happened in the last 20 years of social media, of fandom. Like, she understood fandom before anyone else, I think, in her, in her milieu. And just like she's always understood that it's personal. Like, until not that long ago, she was still having listening parties at her home for fans, and she baked them cookies. It's like, that's crazy to me. It is such I relate so heavily to her because she's such a type A people pleaser. Um, but this is how she's always operated, and I think that once again, like, even something like that kind of shed light on this high-low, I'm, the most famous woman in the world, so I have to invite 1,000 people to my wedding, but it's gonna be in a gym, but it's gonna be in the most famous gym. It's just like the bundle of contradictions. I just hope they can, like, I hope it goes well for them. That's what I'm trying to say. Can you imagine what is gonna happen when they have a baby?
Oh my gosh. Well, that actually brings me to the one last thing I wanna bring up before we wrap up our chat, which is, okay, so this is a new era for Taylor. She's married
Yeah.
now, and when you're talking to me about, like, how she has performed her celebrity and her music career, I was thinking about how a lot of pop stars have eras, right? I think about Madonna. Like, if you think
Yes,
about
for
a
sure.
celebrity who's moved through different eras of her career and brought in her personal image a part of that, Madonna has done that forever, and she's doing it again right now with her new
She's
album.
doing it again.
Great, by the way. But I think Taylor, like you said, is the first person to do that with her fandom in mind in terms of the actual direct
Yep.
relationship with fans. So what is that next era gonna be for Taylor Swift? Now she's writing music about being a wife, the
Yeah.
wife that she wanted to be, possibly a mother. Um, I actually just before we hopped on live, I don't know if this is true. It was just a random like rumor that like which if it's true is hilarious that Travis signed a part of their prenuptial agreement. He made her agree not to write lyrics about him and their relationship if it dissolved, which
Oh,
I thought was hilarious, but also maybe savvy on his part if he thought that much ahead.
that can't be. I would be
It's
very
a
surprised if
right, because
that's
he's
true
yeah,
because of her.
right. He
I
knows
could
who he
I could
is.
see her, like, breaking up with somebody because they pull that stuff. Like, she will turn on you. Like, there's no way she would give away her right to I would be very surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I just do think it's fascinating. We're gonna just see the next evolution
Agreed.
of a one of a kind celebrity. I mean, you don't have to necessarily like her to find her interesting in terms of
Yes.
moves through the world, how she's brought culture to her in
Yes.
different ways, how she's disrupted the entertainment industry in terms of her success, allowing her to buy back her catalog, for example, and control
Yep.
her but yeah, we talk about the distribution of her concert film directly to theaters and cutting out the middleman of
Yep.
studios. And I just wonder now that she's in this new era, now that she's married, she has a husband who's gonna be elevated through their connection in
Yeah.
terms of his next stage of his career, because 'cause he'll be retiring from football in the next
Yeah.
2 years. What does that mean for them in terms of how they move through the world, and how does that impact their careers? I think it'll be interesting to see.
I completely agree, and now that you're listing all of that together, it's making me it's making me nervous for them a little just because that's, like, a lot. Like, you've been touring for the last several years, you've been putting out albums at, like, a breakneck pace. Even as a fan, I was like, "You can stop," like, but I'll just tell you, this is just my own personal feeling that when Life of Showgirl came out, it's the briefest album in a long time. She even said when she announced it, she was like, "It's 12 songs, and it's not don't worry, there's not gonna be, like, a midnight drop and a 3 a.m. drop and a that," like, this is it. I felt like it was a drop of, like, "Here's some really happy songs that I've written because I'm in love now. They're good. They're not tortured the way so many of the others were. For me, it wasn't it didn't grab me as much because I guess I like the torture. But, like, it's a happy, fun song, she's a great songwriter, but it felt to me very much like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this out. I'm gonna be in very skimpy clothing on the cover, with the excuse of the showgirl, because I look amazing after my 3 years of touring, doing 3-hour shows, and then I'm gonna get married and have babies." Like, that was my feeling from that, like, reading between the lines of the lyrics, just even the fact that it's, like, happy, fun drop. It's just 12 songs because I've been writing and writing, like, I've put out so many albums, and yeah, he's retiring, which makes this a good time for all of this for them. It makes
Right.
total sense, like, I'd be very surprised if a baby is not in the plans here.
Now that you mention it, actually, it might make sense. Like, she made this huge splash with the Eras tour, one big giant splash with the Celebrity Wedding, and then they could just, like, if they wanted to, oof, and just, like, go undercover for a couple years and start their family and have their married life together, and that could be their way one last gasp before going undercover, which I think would be interesting, but would also make sense in terms of what you said about, like, their professed desire to start a family, so I can
Yeah, I think, I think that that's probably what's kinda gonna happen, and you're right even about the fact that, like, this is sort of their last chance to get attention. Um, Last big drop, right? Before I mean, there'll be a baby, like, we're gonna have baby photos, there's just no way, that we're not, and she will come back, but, like, realistically, we just know this, that, like, as a practical matter, even if he is fully involved, which I bet he will be, um, like, it takes time to have babies in the first few years, right? Like, you can't just be going out on the Eras tour too. So, I feel like she kinda knows, like, I'm gonna have to go lay low for a little while. Then we're gonna get then it's gonna be as if no one has ever had a baby before. These are the only people to ever have a baby. And it's gonna be, like, I'm like, "It's gonna be annoying and great." Like, that's just how it's gonna be. But I think it could be kinda good for her to kinda,
yeah,
lay low a little bit. People will be then excited to see her back when she is back, and she absolutely will. Like, I think she's long haul. I don't have any doubt that she's gonna keep going.
yeah,
So, at any, like, whatever level that is, it might be a more manageable level at that point too, and then she's gonna have to, like, take the kids to school. I mean, someone is, it could be Travis, but, like, it's gonna have to happen, so
yeah.
she might know that. She's a practical person. She's very smart, so
But I'm making a random prediction that just occurred to me, like, what could be the next thing for her? Like, 'cause she always wants to level up and do new things, and I could kind of
Yep,
totally see she's already a director, right? She's already
yep,
make directs her music videos, but I feel like you know how we see these jukebox musicals
yes.
with c I can see her kind of doing a Taylor musical of Taylor's songs
Oh, yes.
for the brand new story. I could see her doing that at some
Oh,
right? Could you see
absolutely,
it?
and she will, like, she's not gonna let someone else do it.
Nope. I don't know.
So, the way that most are done is, like, someone gets the rights to do it, and that's that. And like, she has so many storytelling songs, like, she could make 5
Yeah,
different ones, right? Which, by the way, would not put it past her at all.
right?
Yes. Yeah, I think we are actually at a pretty interesting crossroads for her slash them. I mean, I'm not like, "What will Travis do?" Travis will do whatever Taylor wants. That's what Travis will do.
By the way, which reminds me, I mean, they're gonna resume that podcast at some point, like, how much is he gonna be sharing about the wedding?
Yeah, they usually do too, and it's clearly all like, he would never do anything that she didn't approve of, and it's all strategic. But, like, that is part of this down home thing that they're doing, to me, is also the fact that we see his brother. The brother will kind of, like, rib Travis, and Travis will pretend like he can't say things, right? Like, it's a whole
Yeah,
bit that they
both,
kinda do, and, like, Mama Kelsey and his brother both at times, I don't know if it's really unauthorized kind of leakage or if it's more like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, they can say some stuff, but they'll, like, say stuff, and that'll make us feel, like we know them and they're our best friends, which is always what we're doing here, like it's just endlessly fascinating and she knows it and that's why she keeps doing this stuff. So we'll talk about her for 45 minutes.
Exactly. I think we've we've did all we can say about the
This
whole.
is it. This is it. But it is really interesting, and I am glad. I appreciate people being here. I appreciate
Thank you.
you for I felt like I needed to, like, have some therapy about this wedding to just I feel like we kinda worked it out too. Like, I feel like we sorta worked out what all is going on here, and I feel a little better about it. And, like, we'll forevermore remember the summer we saw, a slew of prom pics from our favorite celebrities. So
And the fact that Madison Square Garden was, like, at the nexus of pop culture for
yeah,
this.
that was crazy, right?
Yeah, so.
Final thought, I just loved that, like, Mom Donnie was one of the biggest leaks that he just, like, went out like, "Well, there's gonna be a big wedding," and like, this is what's cool though, is, like, it's so many
Yeah,
different parts of culture. No, it's in I saw, like, cops being interviewed who were providing security at the location who are, like, cops, like, New York City cops, you know what I mean? Just great. It's fun. This is the kinda thing she does for us, is she provides something for us all to talk about. I got so many texts this weekend.
I
So,
bet.
thank you all for being here, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks to talk about other things, believe it or not. Bye.
Bye, everyone.